everybody. It's a great day in Clarkston. Let's go check it out. Bye now. I will. It's a great day.
There you go. You're welcome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's a Good Day When. I'm your host, LaVon Upton, and today it's a good day when we have a class bed and breakfast right here on Main Street in downtown Clarkston. The owner, Joan Kopitz, is here today from the Mill Pond Inn. Welcome, Joan. Joan, your website says Mill Pond Inn is a bed and breakfast located in downtown Clarkston with the charm of the turn of the century small village. I've driven by your place many times over the last 9 years, and I always wondered what went on inside there, what it was like. So could you tell me a little bit about your history, how you got started, and why you're running a bed and breakfast?
Well, the bed and breakfast is now 20 years old. I'll be celebrating the end of my 20th year, June this year, starting my 21st year. It was never anything that I ever thought I wanted to do, but as a fluke, we ended up having the bed and breakfast. And I find this is the closest thing to my personality than ever. We get people from all over the world, and we just love having conversation with folks.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many people can you accommodate?
Generally, it'll be anywhere from 5 to 11 people will be at the inn.
Mm-hmm.
Staying overnight, maybe one day, sometimes maybe a week.
Well, how did you get started in this business if it was something you never dreamed you'd be doing?
It was just a fluke. The building became available and we decided we wanted to live in town close to our other business, and so we started the little time to start moving our business, our home from Ortonville to Clarkston so that we'd be close to our business, and did not know what a bed and breakfast was really going to be about. We were a bit naive about how to run a bed and breakfast. But
that's probably the best way to begin any business.
Yeah, it's that.
Not know what you're getting into.
It's that proverbial iceberg where you see this much, but there's all of this that you have to do.
Yeah.
And
well, you talked about already having a business in town, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And that was the jewelry store in town?
Yeah, it went by a number of names: Tierra Fine Jewelers, Tierra Arts and Design, and it ended up being Silver Kiss Jewelry. So.
Do you get much business?
You know, that's a question I get asked all the time. I'll be outside working on the garden and someone will walk by and say, "Do you ever get guests?" And I go, "All the time." Generally, over a year basis, I run about a 40% occupancy with people coming from every continent in the country, sorry about the world. We have people from China. The fun part is that we have invitations to go to many different places after people stay with us. Right now we have an invitation to go to China.
Are you going?
When I'm not an innkeeper anymore. Innkeeping keeps me at the inn.
Now, you're called a culinary destination. Why is that?
Well, I make a great breakfast, but a couple of years ago, the Food Network's program called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives focused on the Union and the Union Wood Shop. And this is kind of like a club of people that like to travel all over visiting these establishments. And so we'll get phone calls all the time because we're the closest lodging to both those restaurants, and people will come. But they come for that, and they come back because of my breakfast.
Ah, I see. Yeah, you know, I was reading on the internet, the close proximity. You were talking about what a great location is, and the close proximity to so many things. And I was really surprised. I mean, you've got the I-75 right here. You got airports.
Yeah, and a big thing is Auburn Hills. When Chrysler moved into, now called Fiat Chrysler, moved in, it brought a lot of other businesses into Auburn Hills, and a lot of the internationals do not like staying in hotels. They prefer staying in something a little bit more like home. So I get people from all over the world. I just got a reservation from one of my Germans. He's been coming for 13 years. And he has the room that he loves the most, and I just put his name on it, and he comes this year 3 times. So the business travelers from Auburn Hills, from Waterford, Pine Knob right there. We get people from Pine Knob all the time. Schools, you know, anytime there's someone that's coming into the area to do lectures or things for schools or churches, I end up getting them most of the time.
So you probably have a lot of repeat customers.
Tremendous. At any one time, half of all the people in the house are repeat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have, I was wondering how your business, the jewelry business, affected your inn. Did you kind of have cross clientele? Or?
When I first started the inn, I would be at the jewelry store every day. And as time went by, I reduced my days, reduced my hours, until I finally was only in the jewelry store 1 day a week.
I see.
And I did the appraisals, but in the last 10 years, it was totally at the bed and breakfast. I do all the maintenance.
The maintenance at the inn?
At the inn, you know, if the painting needs being done, if I need to lay new carpet, if I need to retile a bathroom, I'm a great contractor.
Sounds like it. You said you're going home to do a floor today?
Yeah, I've been demoing. I need to relay tile in a bathroom. So I demo out everything and I rebuild it up.
Well, I understand you like to decorate too. And that you have different themes in your bedroom.
Yes, I do. Yeah, each of the rooms reflects something in our past life.
One's the John Abbott room, is that right?
John Abbott room. John Abbott was a local gentleman. He was a carousel dealer, and John was a dear friend, and he actually gave us the name Mill Pond Inn.
Oh.
Yeah, and so
it's not really somebody famous, it's...
famous in Clarkston if you're an old timer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and John was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I decided to name the room after him so that I had a legacy for him. And many of the things in the room are either from John that he gave to someone else, or from John's house, and people would bring things to me to put in the room to reflect John.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And another one is the doll room.
The doll room, it's my little garden room. It's off the back, and I have beautiful gardens all summer long. And so you can actually look out the window and see the gardens. And so it's the doll room because I used to have a rag doll in there that was from a ladies' organization that I belonged to, BPW. And I'd always just say, it's the room with the doll. It's the room with the doll.
Oh.
Well, it eventually just became the doll room.
And you have a southwest room.
Southwest room got its name. People think it's because it's in the southwest corner, but
that would make sense.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? But it's actually both Buck and I grew up out west. I'm a California girl.
Oh, really?
Yep, I'm a California girl. Buck grew up in New Mexico.
Oh.
And so the southwest room reflects that part of our life.
Uh-huh.
A little flavor.
Get a little of your heritage there,
Yeah.
huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then the safari room, I understand, was inspired by a trip to Africa?
Yep, we call it the Kikaruk room, and it actually...
Would you say that again?
Kikaruk.
What does that mean?
It means dark woods.
Oh,
and
okay.
the Kikaruk Lodge is the oldest safari lodge in Kenya on the Serengeti. And that was the first lodge we stayed in, and so it became a sentimental favorite. And so when we decided to do the rooms, in the room itself there's a reed ceiling, and in one of the lodges we stayed in had that reed ceiling, and so we even have a photo album of our trip to Africa in that room. And
so you replicated the ceiling?
yeah, Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
very
fun
good.
room. People walk in there and their eyes just glow when they start seeing that room because it's so different. And
So
it's
when
just-
people come back, do they request a special room?
Many do. I have
or
a few
try a new
people
one?
do different rooms, but they'll call me and say, "Is my room open?" Of course, now I have to remember which is their room.
Well, with computers and notes, you
No,
can.
I don't do any of that. I use my brain. I
Oh,
use my
well.
brain. I remember their rooms.
Good.
Yeah, I
Good.
remember. I remember their breakfast too.
Is that right?
I do.
Well, that's sounds like a great breakfast.
Yeah.
But you were telling me about a brag table, and you brought some of the things here on the table. So
yeah, I
tell
brought
me
a
what
few.
your brag table is.
I brought a few books just to show the variety of people who come, because some people, we're going to start with this one. That's Betty Mahmoudi's, Not Without My Daughter, and she was the very first author that we had at the bed and breakfast.
So these are people that come and visit
They
you.
come and they stay, and if there's an author, we tell them if they want to leave a book, they have to autograph it. And they always leave a little note in it about us. But Betty Mahmoudi was the one that started the brag table. We put it out, and then all of a sudden, we started getting all kinds of people. This one, this gentleman is very interesting because he's a gem dealer. And BBC did a film on him because it was during the time when the Taliban were in Afghanistan, and he goes into Afghanistan and brings gems out.
Where does he live?
He actually lives in Hawaii, but he's from Michigan.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
Michigan.
So he comes here to stay.
Yeah.
Now I've got this book,
This is
The Dog Whisperer.
yep, Cesar Millan.
Yeah.
He was, in fact, here at the high school, he was doing a workshop for dog trainers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Do you allow dogs?
I have one room that's pet friendly, and that is
Really?
the John Abbott room. Yes.
Really?
It's my pet friendly room.
Oh, I
People
can-
say, "How come I don't advertise it?" And I said, "Because I don't want dogs in there all the time.
Right.
It's in case someone needs to have a dog there. It's pet friendly." But Cesar, I got to say, Cesar is one of the nicest people I have ever met.
Is that right?
I have never been called ma'am so many
Is that
times.
right? Well, he never raises his voice to his
No.
dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
He
No,
says
ma'am.
you never
please,
have to
ma'am.
raise your voice.
And I had two ladies that were coming to the workshop, and they called and they wanted to come stay for one day, and I said, no, 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 you want to stay the whole weekend. They said, why is that? And I said, because Cesar will be staying here too. And she yells to her partner, we're staying for 2 days, Cesar will be there. And he gave them so much attention.
Is
They'd
that right?
sit in the backyard and talk about dogs for hours and
Oh,
hours.
I can imagine, yeah.
This is one of my favorites. It's my sentimental favorite, and that's Chad Everett. And many of the people that are my age will remember Chad Everett as Dr. Joe Gannon, thoracic surgeon. He was a TV star in the late 60s, early 70s, and he was there many times.
That book looks like it's been handled quite a bit.
Yes, people read it all the time. These are
Is that right?
his poems.
Oh,
These are his poems.
so it's something they can pull up and
Yeah.
pick up and just...
And it's got pictures of him and his family in it too that were sentimental to us.
Can I read what he said?
Sure.
I don't know if I can or not. Your B&B is the best in the country. Hey, that's pretty good endorsement, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Another category, children's authors. This one a lot of people will know. Amelia Bedelia.
Oh, I've heard of it.
You've read these to kids
Bedelia.
all the times. Well, the original author, when she passed away, her nephew took over writing, and he wrote 5 more. And he used to come stay when he got, when authors go to schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so these books get read a lot because we have a lot of children. We are kid friendly. We have a lot of families that come.
Well, how do people know about you? How do you market so that people know about you?
Now, because I've been here 20 years, I have a lot of history.
Mm-hmm.
And so word of mouth is the greatest. But today you don't run a business without a website.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm easy to find. People do a little search about lodging in Clarkston, and guess what? There I am. And then I'm top rated for lodging in the area. So
Is that right?
Yeah.
For lodging, and of course your food is...
yeah,
you've got
TripAdvisor I think has about 31 or 32 5-star ratings for me. So
Do you have people from all over the world, did you say?
all over the world. China. In fact, we have an invitation to go to China because we had a family here for 2 weeks during, not this Christmas, but last Christmas. Did not speak English. We were learning Chinese, they were learning English. But I really make my breakfast suit whoever is at my table. I let them pick. But for the Chinese, they needed a Chinese breakfast, so I made I made them Chinese breakfast.
Which is?
Their traditional breakfast. They were from the South.
Rice?
They like no rice.
Okay.
They ate what at home would be a gruel, which for me is oatmeal.
Oh.
They had hard-boiled eggs.
But you make homemade oatmeal, don't you?
I do. It's all organic and homemade. And they liked bread, my 7-grain bread. They ate some sausages. But the unusual part is they like little condiments. And so I would take
chutney or things like that?
No. I would take vegetables. I might be peppers, mushrooms, kale, and then I would saute them lightly with ginger, garlic, soy, and hot chili paste.
Now, did they request that, or is that something you knew to do?
Well, when they first came, the daughter told me how they ate in China, and I adapted what I did for them based on that.
Now, can I come for breakfast?
Anytime you come.
Come on.
You just call me up and you're more than welcome to come for
All
breakfast.
right, but you don't take the public in.
No, I don't. I'm not a restaurant. I cannot charge for food.
I see. Well,
It's there for my guests.
Come by sometime. When do you serve breakfast?
Boy.
You said sometimes it goes till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
My window for breakfast is between 6:30 and 10. When guests come in, I typically will say, "What time would you like breakfast?" And they look at me and and I say, "You tell me, I don't tell you." Generally, excuse me, it's between 8:30 and 9:30.
And you said that it's not only the breakfast that's so special, but the interaction among the guests while you're sitting around breakfast.
Yes.
People enjoy that, the conversation.
We talk, you know.
That's nice.
One thing, a bed and breakfast is all about the innkeeper. And as innkeepers, we love to sit and talk with our guests. We call it guest candy.
Oh, really?
Because, we sit and talk. We have people from all over the world, so we get to hear about different people and how they live and what they do. And
you're going to be able to write a book yourself.
Many people ask me to do that.
Sure. Because I'm sure you have all kinds of stories in addition to the ones you've told us today.
There are so many stories, it's unbelievable.
Anything stand out right now that you could tell us briefly?
Oh, if we have enough time, I could talk about the naked lady story.
Well, now that you piqued our interest, you've got to tell us about the naked lady.
It was many years ago, and I had a gentleman who was doing a basketball clinic at the Silver Dome. He came out Saturday morning and said, I've stayed at a lot of places, but I've never stayed someplace where someone naked has walked into my room. And he was a kidder, so I thought, okay, he's pulling my leg.
Was he talking about your place?
Yes, he was talking about my place. And when he finally got to it, they hadn't locked their door, and this lady in the room next to him had been celebrating an anniversary, and I discovered many bottles in their room.
So she didn't know where she was.
Exactly. She didn't know where she was. She happened in.
What kind of clientele do you have anyway?
But we all laughed at it the next morning at breakfast.
I bet. Well, do you have any future plans other than doing what you're doing?
Well, I said I'm on my 20th year. I'll start my 21st year. My goal is maybe 1 or 2 more years. I'm calling it 70 and out. I'll be 70 in a little over a year.
Okay.
So we're probably going to start marketing the inn next year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're always fixing it up. It sounds like you're doing improvements all the time.
Constant maintenance, just constant maintenance, yes.
And then what are you going to do?
Travel.
Ah.
We have people in China.
That's true.
We
you
just
made
had
all these contacts.
We just had some friends we call them friends now because from Denmark, and they have a summer cottage on the beach in Denmark, and they said anytime we want to come over to Denmark, we can stay in their cottage.
So you'll be busy doing your itinerary.
Traveling around, yeah. Visiting all the folks that we've met at the inn. Yeah.
Well, Joan, thanks for being with us today. I hope people got an idea of what you're like, and maybe they can walk in and browse around and see how charming the place is.
I do get people that just come to the front door and say, can I see the place all the time?
Sure.
Yeah.
And we've shown a few pictures today. Maybe they'll get an idea of how charming it is. And so your information is up on the screen.
Great.
People will be able to contact you from that. And thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been delightful.
It has been.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And the rest of you, go out and make it a good day.